Welcome all to our goods presentation on making our supply chains more resilient and sustainable. Managing the supply chain industry has always been a complicated task, given the many sources of threat in this industry. Apart from the daily disruptions leading to revenue losses, the recent COVID-19 pandemic, a black swan event, has given us a clear example on the importance of supply chain resilience given that it accelerates the disruption across borders as factories are forced to close due to nationwide lockdowns. Furthermore, globalization leads to more inter-border supply risks, while climate change intensifies the probability of several natural disasters that are more intense than what the manufacturing assets could withstand. Due to the different types of supply chains in the industry, there will be differing severity of impacts for the downstream players. In particular, specialty supply chains, where most downstream players only source for their resources from only one or limited suppliers, tend to face the most negative impact. To tackle these issues and to create a more resilient supply chain, we propose creating a supply chain mapping tool, A4S.
Our solution is driven by four main facets: a rapidly deployable supply chain mapping tool, quantification of the risks and qualities of nodes within and throughout a supply chain, authentication of supply credentials, and automation of processes, as well as an early alert monitoring system designed to highlight threats of disruption. We use a cascading model to implement our supply chain mapping solution for clients. The first task for a newly onboarded client is to fill in a list of their suppliers and customers, along with contact details such as their business email. We use these to send out an invite to these parties to join a free version of our application. We will offer referral incentives to those parties who successfully recommend others to become a member of our platform. Once again, the new members will update us with a list of providers. Firms already in the database will not be included again as duplicates, but instead, the relationship between the firms is noted. Failure to join the platform will lead to clients being recommended to move away from these businesses in search of alternatives that have joined our platform. Our platform will use ArcGIS technology from Esri to create a dashboard that allows clients to view the supply chain geographically and also to trace the routes of transportation. Our second feature revolves around 4 points of value add. A rating is developed for each firm, which allows clients to consider these when deciding whether to work with a particular firm. The rating is derived from a mix of metrics. One will be a subjective rating given by firms that they have worked with before. Other metrics will include the duration of which they retain clients, as well as any agreements they might have defaulted on in the past. A risk rating is also assigned to the supply chain of a particular client based on how easily the company could switch to another supplier or customer, as well as using a history of disruptions, so a supply chain passing through an earthquake-prone region will be flagged out as riskier. Based on the cost and risk ratio, supply chains are ranked against alternatives and all options are presented to management of our clients. Finally, clients can be recommended a price for procurement based on past transactions. This is unless the other firm deactivates this feature. However, those firms that deactivate the feature will not be able to use it either. Next will be authentication. Knowing the origins of products is increasingly vital as demand for ethical products of sustainable origins such as fair trade increase. A major PR crisis would be when a company realizes that suppliers lie about the origin of their materials. We use a blockchain system to create an immutable record of where goods move, built upon the IBM blockchain platform. We will also contract with regional companies to conduct spot checks on production facilities on behalf of our clients. On the other hand, to increase the quality of data and convenience for our clients, we encourage and facilitate the implementation of IoT software in our clients' production facilities so that orders may be automatically placed when inventory of input falls below a preset threshold. Lastly, our platform also provides constant vigilance. A company's dashboard tracks a multitude of aspects, as shown, that threaten disruption on our supply chain. These tackle a holistic view of the supply chain, from production facilities to transport networks. The most notable feature is an artificial intelligence system that continually scrapes the world's newest platforms for the smallest developments constructed using Beautiful Soup. For instance, the perfect time to prevent COVID-19 related disruption was when it was a small mysterious outbreak in Wuhan, China. By correlating the patterns of disruptions with news releases, the AI will be trained through unsupervised learning to recognize the smallest signs of disruption. Our network of IoT will also provide timely insight into when a client's partners or the client's own production facilities are showing signs of strain. The vast quantities of data generated by our solution will initially be hosted on Amazon Web Services as we are confident that AWS provides a secure and convenient solution that can be scaled up easily. However, due to the sensitivity of the information as well as the costs of hosting, we will eventually move to our own servers once a critical mass of clients has been reached.
Apart from just being a supply chain mapping tool, in accordance to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals SDGs 9 and 12, we also hope to empower our clients to become more resource efficient. And the way we hope to do this is through reverse supply chain mapping functions on our dashboard. The reverse supply chain mapping function on our platform basically enables our client to visualize the entire disposal process after a consumer finishes using their product. And with this, we hope to encourage the companies to actually reuse and recycle their materials more often. Other than that, while we recognize that our solution brings about greater flexibility in supply chains, it may also result in unemployment. For instance, let's say one of our companies actually decides to shift to a different supplier due to some of the risk factors that I've identified. Therefore, when we think about this, the plight of government contract workers due to COVID-19, which has shut down some of the factories, actually come to mind. As such, we decided that 3% of our revenue will go towards supporting the payroll of firms who have lost business due to our solution. Now looking at market sizing and industry trends, based on our safe estimate of just capturing 1% of the supply chain analytics market, we actually have a 45.3 million potential market share. Furthermore, other than that, there's actually been increased demand for supply chain analytics tools as well as supply chain cloud-based softwares, which is exactly what our solution is proposing. Next, we're going to be looking at scalability and how we can acquire our customers. First off, we'll be targeting SMEs who are actually providing materials to larger corporations. This is so that it will be easier for us to get the larger corporations on board later on. And taking into account that we're a B2B business, the way we'll do this is to actually reach out using LinkedIn advertisements as well as cold emails through qualified lead prospecting. We also intend to perhaps invest in software such as Pipedrive, which will help us manage our lead prospecting, and we can also use the prospector function to find more qualified leads. After that, after we've gained traction, we'll move on to larger corporations through networking events, as well as we hope to incentivize these larger corporations to come on board, taking into account how their suppliers are already with us. Later on, we will go on to build brand credibility through partnerships, such as with the Association for Supply Chain Management. This will enable us to reach out to even more customers in the future.
There are existing supply chain mapping solutions that have some similarities to our proposed idea. I'll highlight a prominent one, SourceMap, and thereafter show how Aragog differs from these and our value proposition. SourceMap has 6 key features, allowing businesses to visualize the supply chain, essentially allowing them to find out any supplier from any tier at any site easily, and creating hypothetical scenarios such as reducing inventories or revising prices, and visualize the immediate impact on supply chains. It also has automated heat maps that calculate risk scores and benchmark suppliers according to surveys collected. Due diligence of suppliers are also done, and SourceMap also provides avenues to embed their content seamlessly into the public domain through shareholder reports. While SourceMap may seem to be an excellent solution, Aragog offers 5 unique value propositions. First, Aragog will be an integrated web of supply chains that is sector agnostic. This means that when there's an impact on supply chain in company A in industry A, it may affect the supply chain of company B in a different industry B. For instance, an increase in demand for computers may result in an increase in demand for laptop stands, and through Aragog, it's possible to see the trickle-down effects on other businesses and their supply chains. Current market solutions are more narrow-focused and look at individual supply chain effects on a specific firm or industry. But our aim is to have a more holistic overview of the different relationships between different firms across different industries. Next, by continuously feeding Aragog with a large volume of information from news sources and research articles from the past until today, and leveraging on AI and machine learning, Aragog will be able to make sense of this information and link world events to specific supply chain outcomes, uncovering insights into potential disruptions. These sources of information will be all-encompassing, spanning government policies, supply shocks, business decisions, etc. For example, based on historical trends, Aragog may link OPEC's decision to increase the output of oil to an increase in demand for cars, and it will immediately flag up supply bottlenecks for car manufacturing companies. In addition, Aragog will recommend alternative supply chain solutions for companies to circumvent these potential problems from the announcement of such news, allowing businesses to quickly redirect efforts to mitigate such shocks. Aragog also has an ESG slant. It will collaborate with ESG rating companies such as Sustainalytics to give ESG rating scores to suppliers and businesses. We will adopt a carrot and stick approach by rewarding businesses with high ESG scores with lower subscription fees. In addition, the algorithms in Aragog will recommend alternative supply chains with lower ESG ratings for businesses to consider switching to. Last but not the least, we aim to use the latest cutting-edge technology to continuously enhance Aragog. Technologies that we have mentioned before so far include ArcGIS, blockchain and NLP, and we hope to use the latest tech innovations to ensure that risks in supply chains are mitigated and that mapping of supply chains are done accurately. Aragog will have 3 different subscription tiers: a very basic tier for firms whose supply chains are very straightforward, and for firms who just want to have the most basic features and map their supply chains to visualize them. The standard tier, on the other hand, is for bigger businesses that operate in many different sectors with convoluted supply chains. Lastly, the premium tier has exactly the same features as the standard tier, except for the fact that it provides recommendations of alternative supply chains, be it in terms of higher ESG ratings or lower risk ratings. The basic tier is for free, while the standard tier is at $99 and premium tier at $199. To incentivize firms to adopt Aragog, we'll be offering a free trial for businesses for a time frame of 1 month across the 2 paying subscription tiers, so that they can understand Aragog's features better. For 2022, it will be the trial year, where we welcome businesses on board and tweak the features and improve Aragog to match what we have envisioned. Thereafter, we expect a more rapid growth before hitting our target of around 45.3 million market share in 2026.
Here are the costs that we expect to incur in the upcoming 3 years, starting from this year.
Lastly, there are a few key risks involved in our model, mainly related to that of cybersecurity. Firstly, it could be that of data loss, when hardware crashes and cloud malfunctions lead to loss of information. Next, data breaches could result when hackers decide to steal proprietary information from us. Lastly, malware injections could occur when attackers sabotage the cloud space of the company through the injection of malicious malwares. We look at the vulnerability and the pervasiveness of the impact in the industry to determine the probability and the magnitude of the 3 risks posed. To mitigate the aforementioned risks, we propose a defense in-depth strategy that covers all bases: a decentralized hybrid cloud with each segment governing the operations of one company is protected by a micro-parameter, hence blocking out any attackers from moving laterally. This is critical as human error posed by any employee in our vast network of firms is likely to be the biggest vulnerability, and we must ensure that companies are not jeopardized by the actions of other firms. We'll also take a proactive stance in patch management and ensure that there is no unauthorized modification of data and the denial of service.
Now, we will be summarizing our presentation. We first started out with an overview into the key issues supply chains today face. We then looked into our solution, where we broke down our features into 3 portions. First, key features. Second, SDGs impact. And third, unique value proposition. When implementing our solution, we will first prioritize our key features, those bolded that you see here. Subsequently, we will implement our SDGs impact and unique value proposition features simultaneously, which are those in italics and underlined. But these are mainly product features. Outside of that, we'll be implementing our session insurance scheme once we have broke even, and we're also committed to using the most innovative and modern technology as far as possible. Afterwards, we discussed about data storage before moving on to our business plans. And last but not least, we also covered the risks and mitigations being a software platform, as well as the mitigation and cybersecurity steps that we intend to take. Thank you for listening to us up to this far. Now to wrap it up, we are Team Resilience, Justin, Helene, Calvin and Camillus. Together we have had experience in consulting, entrepreneurship, finance, as well as many other SDG-related initiatives. We believe that Aragog is the way forward in an increasingly interconnected world. Believe in Aragog. Together let's build more resilient and more sustainable supply chains for our future generations to come.